All right, guys. So I decided to finally take a trip to one of the GameStop retro stores. I looked one up, and I went down to it, and I gotta say, the store was a nice, clean store and everything. Everything was in order, but the retro selection was just like I thought it was gonna be, and it was very familiar to what I've seen from GameStop before. What they consider retro, and I'll ask you guys this as well. They figure retro is more like seventh generation type stuff. Occasionally you'll see a sixth generation thing there, like I want to say an Xbox game or a PS2 game, which is pretty rare from what I've seen over the last couple years. But at this store, I only saw one Xbox game and no fourth generation like Super Nintendo stuff, third generation Nintendo stuff, no cartridge stuff like that. None of that was there. And when I asked the employee about it, they asked me what that stuff was. I was like, wow, okay, so yeah, they're really not training their employees on retro games. What we at least consider retro, because it's up in the air whether you consider 360 games, PS3, Wii. Do you guys consider that retro yet? I think 360 is the closest to becoming retro, with 20 years for the 360, I would say. But yeah, a lot of people don't consider that stuff retro yet. Yeah, even though I kind of somewhat do, but still most people that I know do not. With the way the whole GameStop retro kind of presented themselves, like, hey, retro is back and all that stuff, a lot of people thought about really old school games, like I would say cartridge based games. And speaking of the cartridge based stuff, I actually watched Camelot's video. One of my friends linked me to one of his latest videos about GameStop, and he said how they do trade-ins value, or just how they do trade-ins in general, how they have to meet your quota or whatever like that. So a guy traded in a bunch of Earthbounds because they were the highest amount of money he was getting for that game. GameStop, even though they knew they were fake, they said take them anyway. You know what I mean? They'll figure it out later. So to those games that are getting recycled back out into the community, if you decide to buy a game online from them and it's a repro or just a fake game, that's just annoying. That's a waste of time. And in store, even if you do find games like cartridge-based games in the store, make sure you have a bit tool with you so you can check to make sure, because GameStop's not doing that stuff. If you're paying high dollar value for a rare game, if they even have one, make sure you always carry a bit tool. You usually don't have to worry about the games being fake in regular gaming stores today, like mom and pop stores or whatever like that, or just games in general that have kind of picking up the mantle for retro games. They check to make sure, but GameStop just doesn't. They don't care because they have a lot going on, I'm guessing. They just take everything in, we'll figure it out later. And that's just not a practice that I really care for. Now, going back to the GameStop store I was at, I found some pretty decent games for PS3 and some 360 games, and even some Wii games I thought were kind of cool, but nothing that I really wanted at the time. But I would say this, with these GameStop retros, I feel like they're more suited for, with the retro games, more suited for the reseller. These stores are probably a reseller's paradise. They go there, buy all the games or whatever like that, and then resell them for what they want. I just feel like the casual gamer is not going to really find too much of what they want at these stores. Now, there are GameStop stores that set the bar high when it comes to what they take in, how they display stuff, what they have in stock. There's probably some amazing stores out there, but they're far and in between. Not too many in Washington here have been a really outstanding experience. And I know I'm only going to one so far, but seeing how this one carries itself, it kind of kills the desire to go to other ones. Except for that reseller, they'll go out all day driving around to different stores to find all kind of inventory. So for them, like I said, it's a paradise. But for the casual gamer just looking for some games, for retro, it's probably going to be disappointing. You're better off going to other options like gaming conventions. I'm actually going to one this year, the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, one of the biggest ones out there. Awesome. But gaming conventions are usually happening yearly, so definitely check your state if you have a gaming convention going on. Also, just regular stores that have kind of picking up the mantle, some here in Washington. There's Pink Gorilla, outstanding store. Believe they have 2 locations, I believe. They're one of the pioneers for Washington. There's Graham Games, awesome store I've recently went to. Love them. They're the type of store, when you walk in there and see their inventory, it's man, toes start curling. And then another one, Super Smash Games. They've been around for a while now. I think they're celebrating their 12th year or 11, maybe 10, 11 years. I can't remember, but they're celebrating a long time being in the retro gaming community selling games. So definitely a lot of choices if you come here to Washington. But another thing with GameStop, they really dropped the ball years ago with this because I don't know if you guys remember Game Crazy. When Game Crazy went out of business, they were awesome. And they were awesome, opposite to GameStop. I would say they carried retro stuff. They had everything. But they went out of business because of Hollywood Video. So once GameStop had that competition out, they did what they wanted. And when it came to retro games, they were all about saving space. So they would throw away cases for games, or like all kind of stuff, just destroying stuff. And I've mentioned before in videos that dumpster diving was great when GameStop was doing that. We were getting that stuff, but at the same time, they were like killing the value of it, and now they want to come back to retro all of a sudden. It's crazy. People have already taken it up and respected it. So I don't know, guys. I want to know what you guys think about it because I just think it's crazy. Of course, I've talked about in videos, I want GameStop to succeed. I want them to be a good store for everybody because once they're gone, I feel like everybody will be upset, like, oh, really have to deal with secondhand sellers for good now. But hopefully that won't happen anytime soon. I'm pretty sure you guys in the comments will disagree with me about that. I feel like GameStop can do some stuff to really stay relevant, with the stuff they take in. Like they took in cell phones for a while. They even tried to take back movies for a little bit too, from what I heard. That probably was very limited, maybe like a couple of weeks, and then they stopped doing that. But they just have to draw the gamers back to their stores, and the way to do that is going to take more than GameStop retro games itself. So hopefully something will happen in the future where they really stand out. I will say this though, I was able to pick up a game while I was at the store, and that game is Visions of Mana. I decided while I was at the store I might as well pick something up, and I got Visions of Mana. So everybody knows the story behind that game. I felt like, since I was already there, I might as well pick this game up because I was already looking for it. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the steel case that comes with pre-orders for it. I was hoping it would be there, but I just kind of knew that, it was probably going to be gone. And that was on me. Maybe I should have pre-ordered, but then I kind of just randomly found out this game was coming out. So there's that. But anyways, guys, if GameStops are going to look like this for retro, it's bad. It's scary. So I don't know, man. Hopefully, we'll see more, GameStops like pick up the pace. Like at least GameStop retros pick up the pace when it comes to like retro games. They'll do it properly. We'll see how that plays out. But I just think this is kind of just a gimmick to kind of get people back at GameStop in general. Hopefully I'm wrong, but we'll see in the future. But let me know if you guys have been to any of the GameStop retro stores and how yours was compared to the one I went to. Maybe yours was really good. Maybe it was even worse. I don't know. But anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching The Radical One, and I will see you all later.